All right, you're watching Live Now. I'm Austin Westfall. Live look at the U.S. Capitol, 10:09 in the nation's capital. The government shutdown bill that the House is discussing tonight has a hemp ban attached to it. It's a ban that threatens to end the sale of scores of popular THC gummies, vapes, and beverages. The bill would prohibit the unregulated sale of, quote, intoxicating hemp-based or hemp-derived products, including Delta-8, from being sold online in gas stations and corner stores, while also preserving non-intoxication CBD and industrial hemp products, according to the Senate Appropriations Committee's summary. Standing by is Isaac Yu. He's a politics reporter with the Houston Chronicle. Let's just get right into what exactly this means for Texans and other people who live in states with similar laws to Texas.
Right, so this would be a nationwide ban on hemp. This is a version of the debate that's played out in Texas over the last year. Our Lieutenant Governor here, Dan Patrick, has really wanted and really sought an all-out ban. Basically, that would do very similar things and have a similar impact on the hemp industry here in Texas. That bill ultimately failed. It did pass our legislature before it was vetoed by our Governor, Greg Abbott. But now that same industry, the same group of companies that was under threat from that ban is now facing a similar ban in this shutdown deal.
So Senator Rand Paul was on the Senate floor late last night. We were watching as he and some of his colleagues, including his colleague from Kentucky, Mitch McConnell, they were kind of sparring over the issue last night. What type of products will this impact? I went over some of the surface level stuff a moment ago, but let's say you live in Texas. What type of products won't be available if this loophole is closed?
Our understanding at this time is that this would affect almost any hemp-derived consumable product. So that would be any type of THC, Delta-9 or Delta-8, and that would be in any consumable form. So think edibles like gummies or drinks, as well as smokables and vapes, but also potentially topical creams, even CBD products that contain trace amounts of THC. The ban is pretty restrictive on the milligram. It's 0.4 milligrams per product or serving, which could pretty much wipe out, it sounds like 90 to 99% of the industry.
How big is this industry, to your understanding?
I know that in Texas, it's been an $8 billion in revenue per year industry. That's what's been quoted. I'm not sure about the nationwide impact, but we know that it's really ubiquitous. For example, in Texas, we have over 8,000 licensed hemp retailers, and that includes every H-E-B grocery store, all of our CVSs. Hemp products have really penetrated, I think, into the retail market in all kinds of ways since they became legal under the 2018 Farm Bill. And we know that in Texas, part of the conversation is that this industry would be really difficult to ban. And I'm sure that's going to be part of what plays out under this federal one.
So this was tweeted out by your paper. The Texas hemp industry, fresh from fending off an all-out ban by the state legislature, is facing another extinction-level event, this time from Congress. If you can, let's go over some of the history with this in the Lone Star State. They fended off an all-out ban by the state legislature. Explain to me some of the history. I know Dan Patrick has been vocal about this.
That's right. So this was really a top priority of Dan Patrick and something he used a lot of political capital to get through the Texas legislature in our legislative session earlier this year. It passed both chambers, some on a bipartisan vote, and it headed to Governor Greg Abbott's desk. The hemp industry had some time to kind of lobby and work behind the scenes to get legislators on their side, and ultimately Abbott vetoed the ban. It came as a bit of a surprise move, but the hemp industry really breathed a sigh of relief when that happened. And yeah, you're right. They're about to face this. I will note that the federal ban only goes into effect 1 year after the spending deal is inked. So that gives them, the hemp industry, a year to maybe figure out what's going on. They could try and impact Congress in a similar way and lobby with legislators. But for now, it looks like they're in some hot water.
So are these businesses preparing for this government shutdown bill to move through, and are they preparing for a year from now?
I think a lot of the hemp retailers I've spoken to so far are pretty surprised. This is not something that was necessarily on everyone's radar. There was a question of whether this hemp language would be included in the appropriations bills under the shutdown. And this week, it really became clear as the shutdown kind of comes to an end, it became clear that the language would be included. So I think a lot of people are still reeling and still figuring out what's going to happen. And yeah, we're going to have to figure out next steps over the next year.
Isaac Yu is a politics reporter with the Houston Chronicle. Thanks.